Recently, a famous scientist told the world that he's worried the world might not last for another 1,000 years. He says that man-made pollution of our Earth's atmosphere will cause temperatures to rise around the world, creating deadly heat waves on Earth and flooding the continents as the polar ice caps melt. But others think the world will end in a different way. Some say we will destroy ourselves in a nuclear war. Others say we'll run out of food and other resources as world population continues to explode. Still others say we may be wiped out as a huge comet or asteroid collides with Earth. And then there are those who think someday aliens from another planet will arrive and destroy us all. Most of us, of course, have plenty of other things to worry about. We struggle with just trying to make a living, or to get along with others, or with sickness and grief and death. For many of us, maybe most of us, life isn't easy. It's so hard sometimes that we may find ourselves often wishing the world would end. Surely, life wasn't made to be so full of pain and hunger and weariness and stress. We want a better world. Well, my friend, there is good news. This world is going to end, and there is a better world coming. Nearly all of us would like to know how and when the world will end. Will it end in our lifetime, or 1,000 or 10,000 years from now? And who is right about how it will end? It's not that there's any shortage of prophets making their predictions, but the problem is finding prophets whose predictions are accurate, prophets whose prophecies really come true. But do you know that there is someone whose prophecies have all come true, every last one of them? Someone who can tell us exactly how the world is going to end, and whether it's going to end soon or last for thousands of more years. It should be no surprise to learn that the one who made this world, the one who was there as it began, is also the one who knows when it will end. And friends, Jesus Christ, the God of creation, through His Word, can take us into the future. He is a reliable guide. Who could know more about the end of the world than the one who began it? The Bible tells us about an interesting event in the life of Jesus Christ. One day His disciples took Him aside and showed Him the building of the temple, which had just been rebuilt by the Roman government. It was one of the prize buildings in the entire Roman Empire, a beautiful showpiece. After looking at the building, Jesus made a startling statement to His disciples. He said, "Do you not see all these things? Assuredly, I say to you, not one stone shall be left here upon another that shall not be thrown down." Matthew 24:2. This was the greatest building in the Jewish nation, and now Jesus had just predicted that it would be utterly destroyed, that not one single stone would be left on top of another one. The disciples were shocked, and as they went up to the Mount of Olives, they asked Jesus the question that all of us would have asked. And the disciples came to Him privately, saying, "Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign of your coming and the end of the age?" Matthew 24:3. You see, the disciples felt that if this building were to be destroyed, it had to be in connection with the coming of Christ and the end of the world. But in the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, we find that Jesus spoke about two different events. One of them was the second coming of Jesus, His return to this earth in glory, and His establishment of an everlasting kingdom here on planet Earth. The other one, however, was one that would be seen by many of the people alive at that time. It was the destruction of the city of Jerusalem and of the temple, just as Jesus had prophesied. Now Jesus proceeded to tell the disciples what was going to happen to the temple. He said in Matthew 24:15 and 16, "Therefore when you shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, whoever reads, let him understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains." Daniel had predicted that the Jewish nation would have just so many years to finish their special mission. But now he reminds the Jewish people, through his prophet, that these are the events that are soon to take place. Jesus said that the city would be destroyed, And he advised the people in verses 17 and 18, "Let him who is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. And let him who is in the field not go back to get his clothes." In other words, he told them to flee for their lives, because when they saw the armies encircling the city of Jerusalem, the destruction was imminent. In Luke 21:20, Jesus said, "But when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know its desolation is near." Then he went on to tell them that wherever they were, when they saw those armies, they needed to flee. And then the 22nd verse, "For these are the days of vengeance, that all things that are written may be fulfilled." And in the 24th verse he said, "They will fall by the edge of the sword, and be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem will be trampled by the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles are fulfilled." In the year AD 66, approximately 33 years after Jesus gave this prediction, the Roman armies under Cestius came to put down a rebellion that had broken out in Jerusalem. And as they laid siege against the city, however, the city withstood the ravages of the Roman army, and finally the Roman armies withdrew, despairing of actually being able to take the city. See Eusebius, Church History, Book 3, Chapter 5. Those who had followed the instruction given by Jesus escaped the destruction of the city of Jerusalem. Not one Christian was killed when the city of Jerusalem was taken by the Roman armies in AD 70. But 1,100,000 Jews were killed in the terrible siege. They failed to follow Jesus' instructions to flee the city when the Roman army withdrew in AD 66. Here's a striking lesson on the importance of studying the prophecies and heeding the signs of the times. Those who believed Christ and watched for the signs he foretold were saved, while the unbelieving perished. So it will be at the end of the world. The watchful believers will be delivered, while the careless and unbelieving will perish. What about the magnificent temple? Titus had given orders to save the temple, but one of his soldiers threw a lighted torch through a door, and the temple became a flaming inferno. Not one stone was left upon another. It happened just as Jesus had predicted nearly 40 years before. Will we ignore the signs that Jesus gave us concerning the end of the world, or will we heed the warnings and be ready for what lies ahead? How will we know when the end of the world is very near? Nations against nations. Let's take a look at some of these signs of our times. In Matthew 24:7, Christ said, "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in various places." The 20th century was the bloodiest century in mankind's history. World War I, back in 1914, saw 20 million people sacrificed on the altar of war. World War II witnessed the destruction of 50 million people. When everyone thought that the insanity of man toward man had finally come to an end, we had the war in Korea, the Vietnam disaster, the killing fields of Cambodia, the Gulf War, the Bosnian massacre, the attempt to eliminate the Tutsis in Africa, and on and on. Just when we thought the world would be a safe place in which to live, we had all of these wars breaking out. It seems that the world has gone mad. This is one of the signs of the times. Talking peace, but preparing for war. Another Bible prophecy concerning peace and preparation reads, "For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them." 1 Thessalonians 5:3. We talk about peace, but there is no peace. Everyone wants peace, but it is just talk. The Bible says that in the last moments of this earth, man will have the ability to destroy the earth. The nations were angry, and your wrath has come, and should destroy those who destroy the earth. Never before have men had the ability to destroy the actual matter out of which the earth is made. With the invention of the nuclear bomb, man now has the ability to destroy the earth itself. We thought that when the United States and Russia signed an agreement to get rid of many of these weapons, we no longer had anything of which to be afraid. But we find that this deadly weapon is now mass-produced by many of the other nations, and that they're making them to use against their common enemy, whoever that may be. Where will it all stop? Terrorists have now found a way to buy or steal some of the atomic weapons that Russia had in its arsenal, and there are at least 100 of these deadly devices missing, in the hands of someone waiting to sell them or use them. Who has them? And what will they do one of these days soon? No bigger than a suitcase, they can be planted anywhere, and one of them will destroy a city the size of San Francisco or Bombay. Famines. The Lord said there would be disasters of every kind in the last days. There will be famines, Matthew 24:7. And there are famines in many parts of the earth. It's estimated that 57 million people will starve in this one year. That is 156,000 who will die each day from starvation. Of the over 6 billion people alive on the earth at the present time, 60% are malnourished, and 20% will end up starving. Jesus said that there would be famines as one of the signs of the end. Informed sources tell us that when population outpaces food production, then worldwide famine, starvation, epidemics, and food wars are inevitable. How will we feed added billions when 2/3 of the world's population are hungry now? Jesus described Earth's last-hour dilemma by saying that there would be upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity. Luke 21:25. Pestilences. Jesus said that there would be pestilences. There will be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in various places. The word pestilence today means, according to the dictionary, the same as a plague. We have many new plagues, in spite of what modern medicine has done. We will list just a few: AIDS, malaria, pneumonia, tuberculosis, Ebola disease, new forms of syphilis, gonorrhea, and cholera. The World Health Organization says we now have 40 million cases of HIV. Whole nations will be wiped out if something is not done to stop it. Environmental pollution. Another sign of the times is found in our environmental pollution. The Bible had predicted that the world would grow old. In Isaiah 51:6, God said, "Lift up your eyes to the heavens and look on the earth beneath. For the heavens will vanish away like smoke, and the earth will grow old like a garment." What better description could be given to the sky and the earth as they totter to the end? The sky over many of our large cities is filled with carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide and many other poisonous chemicals that we breathe in through our lungs. Signs posted in many cities warn about the danger of the polluted air. In many places, the water is no longer safe to drink because of all the dangerous substances in it. Atomic wastes have become a real problem to dispose of. The workers in one large atomic factory area are being compensated for the poisoning they have suffered. With the world's rapid increase in population, man faces serious